All right, Tyler Perry fans. Now, I just sat down and watched episodes 4 and 5 of The Paynes. As I said before, The Paynes is a show that I won't be doing weekly videos on, just because I do believe this is the kind of show where I feel like it would do better as an hour-long show instead of just 30 minutes, because you can only cover so much ground in 30 minutes. I will admit it is a show where I want to watch every episode, but it's not a show that I would religiously watch every Friday, and these episodes proved it. Now, the reason I waited at least 2 episodes after Calvin, CJ, and everybody else went back to Atlanta was because I wanted to see if this show could stand on its own without the main cast on there aside from Ella and Curtis. Episodes 4 and 5 were actually pretty decent. Not a lot was covered. I mean, the main idea was Ella seeing the laundromat, Curtis confronting Joanne about, pretty much scamming him. I mean, I get that they're family and all, but to be honest, she could have been more upfront about the fact that I'm going to chip in the laundromat into our deal, but it is going to need some elbow grease in order to get it back up and running again, because $8,000 a month is a big promise. And I get how you said that, hey, it was making $8,000 when everything else got shut down by the hurricane, but she could have been a little more upfront about it. However, I get how Curtis probably should have done more research just to make sure, especially the fact that maybe it would have been better for him to actually check out the house and laundromat before, jumping on that deal, even though it sounded really good. Another big thing was asking where I believe her name is Nyla, the young lady at the church with the 2 children and the abusive husband who is actually her boyfriend, based off what she told Ella before. And that just goes to show that these episodes, again, I feel like I'm going to wait maybe 2 to 3 weeks before I just sit down and watch the episodes, because 30 minutes really isn't enough for me to just sit down, watch an episode and go like, okay, was that it? What's next? Not saying the show is bad. I just feel like it's a show that's better watched in a kind of a bulk setting as opposed to watching it each week. And the fact that the new children, I need to wait to get more screen. I feel like it would be better for me to wait until they move into Curtis and Ella's new house and just see what the dynamic is like, between Curtis, Ella, and if Nyla isn't arrested, I just want to see how they work as a unit. Will it be like a exact copy of the dynamic between Curtis, Ella, and CJ, Jasmine, and Malik? I really need to wait and see how that dynamic is going to work out. It looks like the boy is going to be the opponent of Curtis in terms of, his demeanor. I could see Curtis eventually having a change of heart and softening up to teach the boy, right and wrong. Little girl, she reminds me of the little black girl from Jessie, the show on Disney Channel. I just really need to wait and see what her dynamic is like. It seems like she has a bit of sass in her, but we'll just have to wait and see. But who is it? Joanne's son, who's the manager of the laundromat. I like his comedic timing better than Jasmine and Malik's this season from the first 3 episodes they were in. Maybe it's because Malik wasn't that bad. I feel like Jasmine did a bit too much in episode 3, like she just wouldn't shut up. I feel like this guy, his jokes, they don't feel as forced. Like, he doesn't intrude on every single sentence. Like, he'll say a joke here and there, but I really wish they would say double tap again. I really wish that was written into the episodes more. And when it comes down to the actual Joanne and Curtis dynamic, I feel like their comedic relationship, if you will, is actually pretty good, especially because they're cousins on the show. And let's see what else we have here. I mean, that's the thing about the Paynes. There really isn't much to talk about. Not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but that's just another reason why I'm not doing weekly episodes. I just want to watch a few at a time. Then I can make a solid opinion of the show before doing an episode recap. I guess the biggest thing is, how do you feel about Ella taking those children in? I get that it was I can't really, give you time to think about it. I just feel like it was a bit of a hassle, because I could see both sides of it. Ella taking the kids and Curtis being upset, but then Ella being like, well, you're the one who uprooted us from Atlanta without even consulting me and then moving down to Florida. That's true. But I think the biggest thing on Nyla is the fact that it reminded me of, I don't know if anybody else out there watches Boy Meets World. I believe Sean Hunter's dad was named Jeb or Jet, and he would just like leave Sean and the, you know, Corey's parents' household, and it's just like, well, I'm going away for a while. I know y'all do a good job taking care of my boy. It's just like, well, that's really not their responsibility. So I feel like that's a bit of a hassle. 2 kids in the quote unquote retirement home and 2 people who raised them right, but it's just like, I get you. I know Ella is a good person, but it's just like, Nyla, you just met her. Do you really trust her with your kids? I feel like that was a big, you know, misstep there. But again, that's just me watching as a viewer. But in terms of Curtis, I'm not taking sides here, but it's hard for me to say. Again, this is just me kind of not stumbling, but kind of getting my thoughts together. And you let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think is more? I feel like both were disrespectful to each other. It's like Curtis pretty much sold their old life away. You know, the house, packed up all their stuff and moved it down to Florida without even first looking at the house and the business that he bought from Joanne. That was his mistakes. And I do feel like Ella had a legitimate reason for being upset, because it was like not being consulted and just, you know, taking her away from everything she had in Atlanta. On the flip side, Ella was I feel like Ella was forced into the situation she was in. I mean, she could have said no, but at the same time, it's just like, okay, let's go to the cops first, determine what the situation is, and then we'll see about what to do with your children, because they'll be okay. But I feel like Nyla kind of forced it on her. I guess it's almost like a half-truth. Joanne pretty much swindled Curtis, while Nyla pretty much swindled Ella, because she made it seem like, hey, I want you to take care of my kids. But then she just ran, meaning that if the police find her, it's going to be even worse than turning herself in. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. And I feel like, you know, taking in 2 children you don't even know is kind of like I don't know. I mean, it'll work out because it's a Tyler Perry show, but you know what I'm saying. So with that being said, I mean, I did enjoy these 2 episodes, but I really feel like I won't watch the Paynes for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'll wait until there are enough episodes where I can just sit down for like an hour or 90 minutes, just watch them straight through to see how the plot moves along. So with that being said, I do feel the show can survive without, you know, CJ, Calvin, Janine. I just feel like I really need to see a few more episodes until we get the rest of the main cast in there, to see how the kids interact with Curtis and Ella once they move into the house. But, you know, overall, pretty decent show. I feel like it does serve its purpose. I do this is just me. My ears, I don't know, I just pick up on it a lot. I cringe at that darn laugh track, because I really hate how there's a canned laugh like almost after every line of dialogue, after every bit of body language. It's just too much for me, but that's just my personal pet peeve. But with that being said, what do you think of the Payne so far? Do you feel like with the main cast leaving after episode 3, are you liking what you saw so far, or are you thinking like me in terms of, let me just see a few more episodes and then I might have a solid guess on it?